Subscribe to Underground Sports Philadelphia on YouTube. What is going on, OTB Nation? Welcome into episode number 221 of the allegedly award-nominated, honorably mentioned, and of course, now viewable on YouTube Outside the Box podcast. It's KB and DJ coming at you from Underground Studios. We got a lot to dive into. DJ and I still know ball because we went a combined 6-2 in our picks, even though we had the same goddamn picks last week. We just know ball. We went 3-1 respectfully. We'll get into recapping the quarterfinals of the NLL postseason. We'll get into semifinals game 1 picks because it's now a best-of-3 series in the NLL postseason, which is very exciting. And, of course, we're going to get into that delicious and nutritious PLL Draft recap and some unexpected news that came across the timeline today involving the PLL in a good way. And we've got another Lacrosse Reddit topic of the week. But before we get started, some business, some housekeeping. Follow us on the socials. It's been a while since we got some new followers on the Twitter and the Instagram. Go follow us at OTBLaxPod, Twitter, Instagram. Follow DJ on Twitter at SCS_next. Follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311. Check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com, for all of our written content. Subscribe to the podcast feeds on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We are there. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. Like we say each and every week, you leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, we read it on the show. We just haven't gotten any, so we can't read them on the show. So go leave the 5-star ratings and reviews over on Apple, 5-star ratings on Spotify. It really helps more people find the show, gets more people involved, in the discourse of what we talk about on this podcast, and just brings our fandom to a new level. And, of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. That's where you get every single episode from the first time we uploaded over there of OTB in full video form. And it goes up every Friday. That's the deal. It goes up same day as the audio. So you guys should also be playing the audio just all the way down on your phone while watching on YouTube. It's that easy. It's that simple. So subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Hit the like button, click the bell icon, and comment. Get the comment section flowing with everything we talk about on today's episode. Big thank you to our sponsors. Tomahawk Shades, the best small batch eyewear in the game, and they've been absolutely saving my eyeballs this week because my eyeballs have felt like they were going to fall out of the sockets with how exhausted I have been from the dumb day job. Go to tomahawkshades.com, use promo code USP to get 25% off your entire order. Sunglasses, blue light glasses, everything in between. DJ and I are going to be rocking sunglasses all summer long, and when we're back in the hotel editing content, going to be rocking the blue light glasses to save our eyes. So go to tomahawkshades.com now and get your sunnies and your blue lights for 25% off with promo code USP. Kenwood Beer. Go to kenwoodbeer.com and use the Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. Jordy promised some ice cold Kennys and not a sponsor water company to us, Deej, for championship weekend. Shout out to Jordy and Dukes, but you got to be 21 or older to do so. Use that Kenny tracker to see who's got them on tap in the Philadelphia area. You got to be 21, and please drink responsibly. And the boys over at Bino Board. The Tailgate League is upon us. We're less than a month away from Albany, which is crazy to think about. But we're bringing the Bino Board on the road with us. So go to binoboard.com. That's BINHOBOARD.com and use code BINHOUSP. BINHOUSP for 10% off your order. Get a head start. Start training because DJ and I are coming. We're playing doubles. We're playing singles. We're doing the whole goddamn thing. Binoboard.com, code BINHOUSP for 10% off your order. Coach Deej, what is poppin'? We had the whole squad in our draft stream on Tuesday night, absolutely eviscerating us. But what's poppin'?
Dude, everything is good. Everything's good. We had pretty good practice today. Face-off guy got some good work in. I beat him up a little bit, and then he got the whole team around him and got some good energy and beat me in front of everybody. So then he started chirping me the rest of the day. And I was like, dude, I won more face-offs than you today. Relax.
Your boys found your Instagram.
Yeah, they found my Instagram. They found my TikTok.
Not the TikTok.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, they comment on the one video
Oh
I have on
no.
there.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
I'm about to go delete it. No, I love those kids to death. It's amazing watching them grow every day. But I gave them the rundown next year. I told them, like, you don't show up to practice, you don't play, you don't buy the things I tell you to buy, you don't play. Like, I tell you, I need a response ASAP, you don't respond, you don't play. Like, I was like, you guys need some discipline. We're starting to learn lacrosse, but with no discipline, we're not going to do anything. So that's where we're at. We're building. We're building. Next couple of years is going to be real interesting for the rest of this conference. So if y'all are listening, be ready.
I was on Facebook too, and I just realized we were talking about this. I don't know if it was on pod or off pod, but I was talking about how Dom coaches the girls lacrosse team at the school he teaches at. They got a boys team now. I just saw that. They played their first rivalry game this week against me and Dom's alma mater, and they won, which is very cool to see because growing up, Millville never had a boys lacrosse team, and to see just the way Dom's been able to influence that community to, take that leap of faith is really cool. Never want to see them beat my alma mater, but, it happens. Proud of the boy. Shout out to Dom. Deej, let's get into the quarterfinals recap. You and I both had the same picks last week. We both went 3-1 because we know box lacrosse. Couple teams eliminated to our just heartbroken hearts. Our one loss were the boys. The Philadelphia Wings eliminated from the postseason in a very tough game. They played decently, I would say. They lose 9-8 in a game that any other week, the Wings win that game probably like 17-9. Frank Giuliano was standing on his head. The bounces that the Wings were not getting just didn't go their way. You look at the final stat sheet and just eliminate the score. I bet you could ask, 100 people, I'd say about 50 to 60% probably say the Wings win that game. It was very close, very competitive all the way through. Just didn't go their way, unfortunately. So the Wings eliminated from the postseason. The Albany Firewolves are eliminated from the postseason. The Halifax Thunderbirds eliminated in overtime, arguably game of the weekend. That game was just back and forth, back and forth. Toronto was out to an early 8-2 lead. Halifax comes all the way back, forces overtime, and then the boy Challen Rogers wins it for Toronto. And then the Colorado Mammoth, which didn't even realize they had a curse against Calgary in the postseason. They break their curse and win 16-12 to send the longest reigning professional sports defending champs home. And their reign as defending champs is now over. There's no chance to extend that. It would have been hilarious if they did. But your final four, Colorado, San Diego, Toronto, Buffalo, just how everybody expected it to be. Your takeaways from the quarterfinals.
I'm not really excuse me, I'm not really sure which game is game of the week for me. It's definitely between Halifax and Toronto and the Wings in San Diego. Wings in San Diego was a nail biter. Watching it, I was losing it. Honestly, I literally was losing it so much I couldn't text you. I normally am texting you back and forth about the game, and I literally just couldn't. I couldn't take my eyes off the game.
I was yelling at my TV.
Time. Oh, I can only imagine what the Bennett house.
I'm
was
shocked
like
you didn't hear me.
Game.
I said, "Come on, boys!"
I know the Bennett house was a riot that night. So yeah, that game was amazing to watch. I was like, wow, this is exactly what I thought NLL playoffs would be like in the start. Just, the quarterfinal matchups were amazing to start. So I can only imagine what semis are going to be like. Looking at that Toronto or the Halifax game, as they were coming back, I think I actually was texting you in this game. I was also losing it. because I was like, no way are they going to come back and win this game. Like, it looked like Toronto had it in the bag. They were fine. And then Nick Rose kind of just lost it for a second. Like, he just, like, couldn't find the ball or something. I was like, dude, if they lose this game, I don't think I'm ever going to watch another Toronto lacrosse game again. Like, this is just awful. And then the boy Challen Rogers comes through. And I think I almost broke my fingers trying to type Challen Rogers to you in all caps with like 1,000 exclamation points.
My takeaway from that Wings game too, credit to San Diego's defense because they held a combined trio of Corey Small, Kevin Crowley, and Ben McIntosh scoreless. The fact that those three couldn't find the back of the net just shows how much of a weird game this was, because typically those three are leading the way in scoring for this team any given night, especially when the Wings had 4 power play opportunities, and Corey Small is one of their most lethal power play guys. And I mean, credit to a rookie showing up for San Diego. Patrick Shumay scores his first 2 goals of his career in this game. I wanted to pull my entire beard out when he scored that second one. I was like, how do you let him not only score his first goal of his career in the postseason as a defenseman, but you let him get 2? I was very unhappy.
Do you remember,
but I mean,
you remember who's all-name list he was on?
Yeah, I do.
Just wanted to throw that in there.
Add insult to injury, Coach Deej. Add insult to injury.
Ask my kids. I love doing that. Open that wound up. Let me sprinkle a little salt in there.
It's bad enough the Sixers lost tonight. Now I got to rehash this game. It's down to 1, and I don't know about you, DJ. This is where I stand right now. With my fandom eliminated, I have no, push to root for the Wings now. There's one team that I personally am rooting for, and I feel like as a podcast we should be rooting for, because they are day ones, they're OGs, they follow the program, they retweeted us during the quarterfinals with a picture of Zeddy Ballgame. I feel like as a podcast we should be getting behind the Colorado Mammoth to win it all.
I'm not opposed to Colorado winning at all. That's awesome. But after the night we had in D.C., I can't just leave the Bandit boys hanging. Like,
I'm not leaving them hanging, but it's nothing against the homies. Love the homies. It's, hey, at NLL Bandits, it's one button you got to push, and you'd get a little bit more support from the fellas here. I personally am rooting for Colorado to mollywop San Diego. Except for the boys. I love, Eli Gobrecht, Austin Stotts. Love the boys. Love Coach Patrick Merrill. But when you follow the program and you support what we're doing on the socials, it means a lot. It means a lot to the boy. I got to root for Colorado moving forward until something proven otherwise. But they're the lone team standing that follows us. San Diego, Toronto, and Buffalo are 3 of the 4 teams that do not follow us on social. So as of right now, I'm rooting for Colorado. But we've got some fun matchups. I think for the teams eliminated, with Albany, Halifax, Philadelphia, and Calgary. Calgary, I think, this season was a success for them regardless, because you lose Dane Doby. You have no idea what to expect from a roster that is more than 50% young guys who haven't played together at all. I think this season was a flat-out success for them. The way that they were able to battle back, get into the postseason alone, was massive for them. So I think this season, massive dub for them. This was almost like a free play season for them, where like whatever happens, cool. We'll ride with it. So I think Calgary's season was a big-time success. When you look back at it, I don't think they'll have really any negativity towards this season. Halifax, you got to be looking yourselves in the mirror. I think Cody Jamieson said it best. in his post-game speech that they tweeted out. They got a lot of, just self-reflection, I think, to do as an organization from how things wound up in the second half of the season. I think they battled hard in this game. They didn't quit, which was a good sign, but they have a lot of things to work out, in my opinion, as a team. Albany, I think they kind of just got there too early, in my opinion. Like, I think this season was very good for them. I just think postseason, it was like a season too early, almost, where, like, yes, they played very well, but I don't think they were ready for the limelight of the postseason just yet. And then the Wings, just got to be more consistent. When you have 2/3 of the team doing their part, but then 1/3 of the team doesn't throughout the entire season, it's tough to, find yourself as a wild card team and, you're battling to just be in the playoffs. But I think it's a good sign that they made it. I think it's a good sign moving forward. Now that they have a playoff game under their belts as a team, I think moving forward, this Wings team is going to be stupid good. With just the talent alone that's on their team, they just got to be more consistent. Your thoughts on the 4 eliminated teams?
My thing with with Calgary is, like you said, it was definitely a success. They were almost the number 1 seed in the West. That says a lot with how they played this year, and they just ran into a team, not even a team. They just ran into a scenario that's very tough, not only in the NLL but in every sport. It's play a team twice, and I believe that was the 3rd time they played Colorado.
4th.
Yeah, and it was either
twice in a week.
What was it? I think it was 2-1 Calgary at that point. Like it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a year. That's what they ran into. Colorado coming into it was already hey, we're the 2 seed, or no, 3 seed. Sorry, we're the 3 seed. Should have been the 2 seed in our opinion. We're playing a team that just beat us for the 2 seed. Let's get them back. So it's a lot of motion was in that game, but Calgary absolutely was, nothing to hang their hats on, a lot to build off of. And then depending on who they draft, they could be right back where they were, a few years ago as champions. Albany, I just think they hit their stride too early. Everything's about momentum, especially in, a sport like basketball and lacrosse, hockey. It's all about when you hit your best stride as a team. Some reason Michigan's really good at that. They play very good at the beginning of the year, play awful during some middle stretch of conference play, and then into the conference tournament and the NCAA tournament, they play amazing. And Albany kind of just started off bad and hit an amazing stride in the middle of the season when they looked almost unstoppable and then died out at the end of the year. So, they just have to figure out how to either regain that momentum and get a boost heading into the playoff, or just learn how to hit that stride at the end and play well going into the playoffs. Who else is up next? Halifax. It was those trades, really. Those trades kind of just took them downhill. I think they just need to either reevaluate the front office or just reevaluate, their decision-making in general.
They tried to do too much.
Yeah. Like, one trade is probably okay, but I think they made 2 or 3, and it kind of just ruined everything. Make subtle
2 or 3 trades plus releasing KJ. Made no sense.
You got to make subtle movements. You can't change the whole roster like that. So I don't know if they're trying to go for a complete fresh restart, like subtly, which is okay. You can go ahead and do that, but so I guess they just need to figure out what they're going to do with their roster and get back to winning ways, because their defense is okay, but when you're asking them to play, almost the whole game because your offense can't figure it out, you're going to run into a lot of trouble. And then last was the Wings. My only problem with them this year was the inconsistency, and it was mostly the offense. Like, I'm big on defense and blaming defenses, but we talked about that a lot. Not having
Brock Sorensen.
Brock Sorensen. Like, that was kind of what they were banking on as being like the staple of the defense. Not there. That changes a lot. So the offense was supposed to step up big time, especially with all the names they had even after losing Brett Hickey, and it kind of just seemed like the offense would go ghost for long periods of time. You're never going to do much if you're going to do that. So, got to need to see the offense kind of kick it in gear next year and really swing the ball around and take advantage of. I mean, what do they have? 9 options of guys that can not only create their own shot, but for guys, other guys as well. Like, you got to really take advantage of that and make defenses work to stop you.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because obviously we're going to have an expansion draft with Vegas coming in, and you don't know who they're going to take from every team. But from the looks of it right now, I mean, I'm very excited to have a full year of Kyle Jackson on this Wings team because as soon as he got here, things changed for this Wings offense, which was a much needed, addition to this offense. I'm excited for a full season of Sam LeClaire, and just hoping that this offense, once they're all together for a full year, no COVID layoff, and they just get some continuity together, it'll really, burst the way that I think a lot of people expected them to do this year. And hopefully, they don't lose too many pieces in the expansion draft. But with that, more teams eliminated from the postseason. Does that mean teams are eliminated from DJ State of the Fandom? After the quarterfinals, Deej, how's the fandom feeling?
This one hurts a little because they follow the pod and they have great social team, great color scheme, jersey, mascot. But front office problems are huge for me. I see it happen in way too many sports, especially teams I'm a fan of. So Halifax is not a team I can be a fan of. I'm cool with Calgary for now. I like what they did this year. They were one of those teams that found a way to catch momentum at the end of the year, even after they had a rocky beginning. So I'm cool with them. They're potentially hanging in there.
They're fun, and they got a all-time want podcast guest in Jesse King.
Yes. But solid number one is those boys out on the island.
I mean, it's your New York Riptide.
Those are the solid number one right now. I don't know how much this playoff is really going to affect that because, like we said, 3 out of the 4 teams don't follow us. So the only thing that's going to save them is really depending on how long it's going to take Vegas to drop these jerseys.
Or if Vegas can, send us a care package.
Yeah,
Because, been rocking with you guys since day one. We were constructively criticizing, but we still fuck with you guys. And seeing all these other people getting taken care of, it's a little dagger in the heart.
Yeah.
Just saying.
But hey,
just show some love.
But yeah,
I mean, the Wings organization getting a whole wine bottle and wine glasses with the logo on it, like that's next level.
Mm-hmm.
Just slap us a t-shirt and a hoodie. Slap us a hat.
That's all we need.
That's all we need.
If you want to be extra generous, you can give me a jersey.
Right? Let us get a sneak peek. Let us come out to the jersey reveal.
All I'm saying is the only thing helping these teams is depending on how long it takes Vegas to drop those jerseys.
Fly us out for week 1.
Y'all need to do that regardless. I don't care if y'all my favorite team or not.
Big facts.
I'm low-key banking on that because I already told KB I'm going right to the betting counter. Bam!
You're going to be like that video of the kid with the credit card.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah. My card, just run that thing a few times on this.
You're going to be like Diggs buying all the Atlas rope hats. So that is the state of the fandom. But that brings us to game one of the semifinals, and it is time to feed some semifinal ducks and get into our NLL semifinals. Game one, picks of the week, powered by Pickup. So we're going to go week by week because that's how these games are going to go. So these picks are strictly for game one of the semifinals. Things get started 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Get the caffeine ready out in San Diego. San Diego's wearing all black this week for Friday the 13th. Colorado coming to town. West Division showdown in game one. Deej, how are we feeling about two heavyweight titans going to battle in game one of the West Conference Finals?
It's going to get scary out there. They're wearing all black. That's going to be tough. And they're probably putting Dylan Ward back in cage, and they've chased him out of there a few times. They're at home. Diggs is probably getting wind or glass seats right behind goalie twice.
Alex Siegel's probably going to be out there. We have a lot of San Diego friends.
Yeah, that's a problem. Tell them to follow the pod. What are y'all on?
Right?
But yeah, I think I'm going to take San Diego. I think that place is going to be rocking. It's going to be a literal party in there. And the all black is always a factor, especially on Friday the 13th. That's just spooky stuff.
You know I love an all black uni. And you know I specifically love San Diego's unis. Those things are one of the best uniforms in the league. But I don't care that they won last week. They should have won last week. They were favored to win last week. So good on them getting a dub. They won their regular season finale by 1 goal. Before that, they were on a 6-game losing streak where the bounces weren't going their way. The bounces, they got lucky last week in a lot of ways, and even the broadcast was saying that. The home team broadcast, mind you. I still don't trust San Diego right now. I'm going Colorado in a close game. I just don't trust San Diego the way that their offense has been basically the second half of the season. They showed a stat during this past week's game. Since, I forget what month it was, but their goals per game has dropped by like 3.5 goals. With an offense like that shouldn't be happening. And until they can show me that they can score in the double digits consistently, I got to go with the team that's rolling on some high momentum right now and putting up points on offense. So I'm going to go with Colorado to win game one of the Western Conference Finals. Then on Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, we get an old school North Division showdown. The 1 versus the 2. This series is going to be magical. I'm excited. If this series doesn't go 3, I'll be stunned. Toronto at Buffalo. Bandit Land gonna be rocking. Toronto coming off a big emotional win to get to this point. I just don't see how a team goes in for a game 1 at Bandit Land and pulls an upset. It's tough. I love the way Toronto is playing right now. Don't get it twisted. I think they are really rocking right now. But like you brought up when we were recapping the quarterfinals, the boy who we love to death, Nick Rose, kind of losing sight of the ball almost against the Halifax team. If he does that against Buffalo, it's going to be tough to come back. Give me Buffalo in an all-out dogfight in game 1 of the East Conference Finals.
I'm going to take Buffalo, but I'm going to say what I'm excited to see is how much of a factor TD will play in his first playoff game. This is his first professional playoff game because he didn't play in the Woods playoff game. because he got hurt. And then I also want to see what Tahoka is going to do in his first professional playoff game. Like, those guys are going to be they're two very big parts of their team, and like one of them has to step up big time for their team to win. I want to see which one it's going to be, and if it's both, who's going to be that other guy? You know, if, like you said, is Nick Rose going to lose sight of the ball, or is, you know, this Buffalo defense kind of going to crumble like we've seen them do, you know, a few times this year? We saw them do it against Colorado when they lost to them, as well as who was that they lost to? Albany, I think it was the other team. Yeah, Albany also.
They also lost to this Toronto team.
But I think that was more against the Albany loss was more on the offense. Like it was that weird defensive play, and it kind of just got the offense. So I don't know. I'm excited to see this, but I think Buffalo's got it in the first one.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got a Buffalo team with tons of championship experience from this past PLL season. You've got a Buffalo team that is on a revenge tour from the last time we had NLL playoffs when they lost to Calgary in the championship game. This team's on a mission. And I'm not saying Toronto doesn't have a shot in this series. I'm strictly going off of the way I've seen both of these teams play. I think Buffalo has the slight edge being at home, and that's what I'm chalking it up to. But I do think this game, more than the Colorado-San Diego game, transition is going to be a massive factor in who wins this one. Because if you get Challen Rogers in transition, or if you get Max Adler winning faceoffs to set up Buffalo's transition game, that's going to be a key thing. Like, TD doesn't necessarily need to win every single faceoff for Toronto's transition game to be that lethal X factor we've seen it be, simply because you arguably have the best transition player on the face of the earth in Challen Rogers. But we're both going Buffalo on Sunday. You're going San Diego. I'm going Colorado. And that's our Game 1 NLL Conference Finals picks of the week, powered by the homies over at Pickup. You guys can go to playpickup.com, start playing the hottest headlines in sports with our homies over at Pickup. Man, from playoffs to a draft. If you guys tuned into our draft stream, we appreciate you. But the PLL 2022 college draft has come and gone. We have 4 rounds of players to, just talk about, dissect, winners and losers of the draft. We only had 1 trade on draft night, which was kind of a surprise to me, at least. But the PLL draft. Deej, I'm going to let you kind of take some reins on this because you know a lot more about these players than I do. Obviously, I just strictly watch the highlights, but overall, we're going to, list off the players here. Pick 1 of round 1, automatic upset of everybody's drafts. If you had Logan Wisnauskas going number 1, please send us the tweets, the receipts, all that good stuff, because we don't believe you. But he goes number 1 overall to Chrome. Chris Gray goes number 2 to Atlas. Arden Cohen, the boy, comes home to the Woods. Like we said, like I tweeted, I said he's gonna look so good in Redwoods green. Matt Moore sticking in that blue and orange. He's going to Archers. Kobe Smith going to Atlas. Brett Kennedy going to Chaos. Roman Puglisi going to Whips. And Zach Geddes going to Chaos with their second pick in the first round. So to recap the first round here, Deej. Thoughts? How shocked on a scale of 1 to 10 were you that Logan went number 1? And winners and losers of the first round. We could break this down round by round of who we think won each round.
So as far as Logan going 1, like, I got the notification because I was a little late getting out of practice, and I was like, "Whoa!" Because I literally was driving, and I low key pumped the brakes, and I was like, "I really hope no one was behind me," because I was like, "Oh, like, no way did they pick Logan first."
I audibly said, "No way!"
Yeah, literally, I was like, "No way!" And then I thought about it, and I was like, "Well, they do have Jackson Morrill, who's gonna play at X." And he gives a very good threat from dodging up top. I don't hate this, especially after losing Ned Crotty. And I was like, okay.
And Jordan Wolf.
And then my next immediate thought was, well, this is really going to shake up the draft. This is really going to shake up this first round and how things go. And it literally ended up, I think, shaking up the entire draft. I think the entire draft changed based off of that one pick.
100%.
Winners of the first round, obviously Redwoods getting that cover defender, regardless of if they get Landis back or not. They get Landis back, they just added 2 good cover guys to the D. And if not, they just get Arden and everything's okay. I really like Chaos going out and getting 2 more defenders as well. One from Georgetown and one from
Syracuse.
Syracuse guy will probably play pole, be the cover guy to replace Johnny Surdick, who's back on military obligation. And then Zach Geddes will probably play short stick. We talked about him playing pole possibly on the stream, but he's probably going to end up playing short stick in some role because, I mean, their D is pretty solid, especially after picking up Kennedy. And their poles are locked in with CJ Costabile and Troy Ray. So, and they still have Ian McKay. No. Yeah, they still have Ian McKay who can run some pole
wherever.
Yeah, literally wherever. So I think they got to win there as well. The Whips picking up Rowan Puglisi is a huge win, especially if Ty Warner comes back. They could arguably be the best tandem.
Punch.
Oh, you could put those 2 out there and you arguably have 6 poles on the field.
Yeah.
Like, who do you dodge on? And either one of them can go out and transition. You're putting them out there with Earhart. Now
you get a 404 error message if you try to dodge on that.
No, for real. and now you can send those 3 legitimately down into fast break and arguably run offense for a solid 20 seconds before subbing them off. Like, that's ridiculous to think of an entire defensive midfield unit that can go and do that. Like, that's a big win for them. The only question I really have is Atlas. I'm interested to see how they're going to work with picking Chris Gray and how that works into their offense with having Eric Law. I honestly still thought they should have gone with Matt Moore. I don't know how far Chris Gray would have dropped after that because I don't know who else would have picked him up really because the X position is kind of really locked up all over the league. So I'm interested to see, where they're going to move Eric Law and other people to put Chris Gray in because I would assume he's going to be one of those rookies who starts right away. So they're kind of the only team I have in a limbo after the first round.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chrome getting Logan was kind of a head scratcher at first. Even Kark said that on the broadcast. He was very confused because he felt like they were lacking that quote-unquote quarterback on their offense. Stop slandering Jackson Moreau, please, and thank you. But I understand where he's coming from, where you want just like that certified gamer. But then to see what they did later on the draft, it's really an unreal draft for Chrome. I think Redwood's obviously getting Arden, which we both have said for months now. And I think Whip's getting Roman at pick 7 is stupid. It's absolutely dumb. And Stags just keeps on keeping on. And then Chaos just continued to get better. And Andy Tower said it himself on the vlog. They don't necessarily need anybody, but if they can get better than what they were last year, they're going to. And I think they got 2 certified gamers to add to their defense and to their midfield moving forward. So overall, round 1, I think, was a win across the board for everybody. And for Archers to get Matt Moore to fall to them at 4 is stupid. That's going to be very fun to watch with their offense. Round 2, Chrome get Brendan Nickturn. Come on. Like, that's a steal and a half. Cannons use their first pick in this round to go get the boy, Asher Knowlting, at pick number 10. Then Cannons make a trade with Atlas to move back into position to pick Bubba Fairman from Maryland. Then Brett Dobson, the first goalie off the board for Archers from St. Bonaventure, goes at pick 12. Pick 5 in the second round, Atlas take Brendan Curry from Syracuse. The Water Dogs, with their first pick, take Jack Hanna. Whip Snakes get Wheat and Jacoboyce at pick 15. And then Chaos get arguably one of the steals of the draft. Jonathan Donville going pick 16 is absurd. What a perfect fit for their just offense and just weapons that they use on a game in and game out basis. First time we talk about cannons and water dogs in this draft, Deej. Overall, again, I think there weren't many losers in this round. I think there's just more questions of fit, more so than being a quote-unquote loser in the round. I think Chrome get a certified win by getting Brendan Nickturn at pick number 9. I think Donville going at pick 16 is stupid. I think Atlas wins, even though they only had one pick with Brendan Curry. I think he's a gamer, but I also think them getting Cannon's 2023 first-round pick is a dub and a half. And then Jack Hanna, you and I both agree, at pick 14 was a top 3 steal of the draft.
Yeah, so for this round, it was really my first thing was Cannons, obviously going out and making that trade, going back-to-back in this round, picking up Asher Nolte and then going and doubling that up with Bubba Fairman. I think they really just pushed their midfield up to a new level, especially after losing Paul and kind of in a limbo there, wondering what they're going to do. I mean, now they have Jamie Trimboli, Asher Nolte, and Bubba Fairman that they can all run from up top with a few others that they already have. I really like Asher Nolte working with.
I feel like you and I are the only ones that like that pick.
Yeah, and a lot of people were wondering why I said he would run from up top, and they don't really see it. I'm like, dude, that kid's got amazing stick skills, and the vision is unreal. If he draws a slide, it's an automatic goal. Automatic goal.
And he's playing with Lyle Thompson. They're like two of the most prolific goal scorers in NCAA history now on the same team.
Yeah, it's second and ninth. That's ridiculous. In all-time points in the NCAA on the same team. Plus, you have St. Jackson, Ryan Drenner on that attack line. Like, come on. Don't tell me that's not going to be good.
It's
so,
insane.
like, I really liked that pick in this round. That might have been my favorite pick. Those two picks might have been my favorite. I really like Donville going to Chaos. Obviously fits right in with the
box
Canadian
on a field.
Yeah, the Canadian theme they have going on there. Brett Dobson to Archers is probably the best fit in this round in terms of his attitude, his fire, the way he plays, his goalie style. They kind of have that big man mentality in goal. That's kind of what they have over with the Archers, and he's that guy. Like, he was the guy who willed St. Bonaventure to the season they had this year with spectacular play in goal. Really like that pick there. And then the pick I hate the most because it's so good is Whip Snakes going back-to-back rounds, picking up two-way midfielders is really annoying. Because Wheaton Jacobois and Rowan Puglisi as the 7th picks in both rounds is ridiculous. And excuse me for a second. And that is, at that point, I went into the PLL Discord and I said, right now, I think the Whip Snakes have the best draft so far. At that very moment, that's exactly what I said in the Discord, because I was like, they didn't really need anything else, and they went and picked up two pieces that are interchangeable that made them better.
And we literally said all season last year that their biggest weakness was their midfield.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, we talked about Ty Warner not being there. They possibly get him back.
Well, I think it's confirmed he's 100% coming back, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, he tweeted that he's back, but he isn't on the roster yet. So, like, you know, we were talking about that. I think it's
one of those semantics thing. It's more, Ty Warner is more likely back for Whip Snakes as of May 13th, 2022, than Matt Landis is for Redwoods.
Yes.
Put it that way.
Yes. So, all in all, from this round, I don't see any losers at all, really. I'm interested to see Jack Hanna and Brendan.
That's my favorite pick of this round, is Jack Hanna.
My thing with those two is with the positions that they play going into the offenses / defenses they're going into, I just don't know how much PT they're going to get. They're going to really have to show out in training camp or, in those first couple games to pull some PT. So I'm just kind of interested to see, are those – I don't hate the picks. I think they're really good picks for both teams, but I'm interested to see are those guys who are going to be effective right away, or are they going to end up being helpful in 2 or 3 years, or possibly end up being trade pieces.
I love the reunion of Jack Hanna with Ethan Walker.
Yes.
Team is becoming very, very Denver-esque, and I like that a lot. I think it's a great pick. And to get them at 14 with their first pick, I think is insane. And I think my biggest just concern is Cannons continue to trade their first-round picks in drafts. They will now have 2 straight drafts, including this one, so 2022 and 2023, where they do not have a first-round pick, and they will both belong to Atlas. So we'll see how that works out for them. Obviously, Cannons made it to the playoffs last year, but losing the first round, then they don't have a first-round pick. We'll see what happens this year. That's just becoming a little concerning to me because you look at their roster and they're very veteran-heavy. You don't want to continue to just dish out your first-round picks and not have, ammunition to revamp your squad year in and year out. Coach Quirk, we love you. Friend of the program. Hold on to your first-round picks. Don't always give them to Coach Rubior because you're going to need them eventually. Round 3 is where things get interesting. Again, I like this round a lot. So pick 1 of the third round is Chrome Ryan McNulty from Loyola. Pick number 2 in the third round. I think the 1A to Arden Cohen going to Redwoods was Justin Inacio going to Archers. He goes in the third round at pick 18. Steal of the draft. Pick 19 from Duke University. Midfielder. Football player extraordinaire. Nakai Montgomery coming to the Woods. Already texted Nat St. Laurent about coming to training camp. He's saying, fuck the NFL. Let's fucking go, Nakai. Come on the podcast, brother. We would love to have you. Pick number 4 in the third round, Keegan Kahn. Whips, it's death taxes and them taking players from Maryland. Then we get D3 player off the board. Pick 21 for Atlas, defenseman from Christopher Newport, Max Wayne. Then we get Jake Higgins from Maryland, a short stick D midi, pick 22 to the Water Dogs. And then Cannons go back-to-back again, selecting Brian McIntosh from Hofstra. And then they take Colin Kirst, the second goalie off the board here from Rutgers. This round has, I think, the most overall implications of teams being successful with their depth and their drafting this year. Because you look at a guy like Nakai Montgomery, Justin Inacio, Jake Higgins. Those are like blue chip guys that go in the third round, in my opinion. You have a guy from Maryland, you have, arguably best face-off guy, and then Nakai fucking Montgomery goes in the third round. But then you look at a lot of the depth pieces. Colin Kirst, I think, is a sneaky good pick for Cannons. They're going to have a very fun goalie battle in training camp between the boy Drake Porter, Nick Morocco, and now Colin Kirst. You take Brian McIntosh as well for Cannons from Hofstra. You get Ryan McNulty from Loyola. Max Wayne, a D3 guy who Ben Rubior coached, so that's where that connection comes in. That's going to be very interesting to watch. And then Keegan Kahn, who knows if he gets playing time, because you're joining a Whipsnakes attack group that consists of Jay Carlson, Zed Williams, and Matt Rambo.
This round for me, obviously most exciting pick was Colin Kirst because it either A, solidifies that they're going to trade one of those goalies, or they're going to have a blockbuster training camp that hopefully we get some kind of backside access to through some type of vlog or something, because that is going to be amazing, the three of them battling it out to see who's going to be the starter. And if we don't, I cannot wait to be in Albany and see who walks out as the starter. That is going to blow my mind if I don't get to see before. But other than that, I absolutely love this round. This is my round to watch, especially other than, like you said, Ignacio Montgomery. Probably just Ignacio Montgomery. Those guys are probably going to be the only two who definitely get in right away. I'm interested to see, if these guys get in, and if they do, what kind of players they become, because this is a very defensive round, which I'm a D guy. I love to see that. That Cannons D has a hole, especially, with a guy like Brian McIntosh, who's got the body type to go play LSM. He could help them at LSM behind Reese Eddy, or he could slide into a spot down low. I don't really think there's a spot down low. I think it's going to stay Pulver, Kilty, and Merrill, but, we'll see. There's definitely an opportunity for him to fight in there. Atlas could use a backup LSM. I mean, they have Craig Chick, but I'd love to see Max Wayne get in there and get something going. They could be very.
They did draft Kobe.
Wait, sorry,
they drafted the Steez Lord, Kobe Smith.
But now I'm intrigued to see. Is this going to be another one of those D3 guys who steps up in training camp and it was like, yo, D3 is just as good as D1.
We talked about how Atlas needed depth behind their three core defensemen too.
Yep.
It's a big gamble. And this is no knock on Max Wayne whatsoever, but it's a big gamble to say, oh, we need depth behind our three core defensemen. We're going to go D3 instead of D1. But I like this a lot. Going and looking at some of the highlights I saw just from the PLL, putting stuff out and, going and just searching Max Wayne. First of all, great name, all name team in the simplest of forms. Max Wayne just sounds like a badass defenseman, and I hope he gets a great number because I'm already a fan. Like, I love a good underdog. I love a D3 athlete, and if he can come in, make some noise, knowing how Ben Rubior coaches, I think that's a huge benefit to him to go here, and just opens up the door more for D3 guys in future drafts.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a guy come from RIT and do well. I think a couple guys actually from RIT have made it into the pros, and we've seen a couple other D3 guys make it in there. So the more that they get in there and play well, the more we'll see it happen. I'm a D3 guy as well, so shout out D3. Keep doing your thing, because no matter what level you go, college is college, and it's definitely still the experience that matters. But yeah, like I said, this third round is definitely my round to watch. Outside of the guys that I know for sure are going to get in, I want to see if anybody cracks game day roster, if they get some PT, and what kind of what they do with it. Obviously, it's once you get it, you got to make something happen, or you're going to be right in the back of the line. Everybody knows that's how it goes.
Now, I don't know if this year's round 4 will make as much of an impact as 2021's round 4. I could be wrong, but just based off of looking at it right now, I find it difficult for any round 4 to make as much of an impact immediately than last year's round 4 did. But this year's round 4, pick number 1 in round 4, Owen McElroy, Georgetown's goalie, which was kind of the overarching favorite to be the first goalie taken off the board from all the mock drafts we had seen. He goes in the 4th round, so I view that as a big-time win for Chrome. Jackson Reed goes to Whipsnakes from Ohio State. Redwoods pick up the biggest motherfucker I've ever seen in my life, Mitch Bartolo, standing at a tall, clean 6'6" from Rutgers. Then John Robbins from Bellarmine goes to the Archers, and they had back-to-back picks. And then they go midfield from Brown, Ryan Oghaven with pick 5. Pick number 6, Jason Reynolds from Notre Dame, goes to the Water Dogs. Colin Hinton from my Jacksonville Dolphins. Shout out to the Dolphins, my preseason squad of choice via helmet selection. They take Colin Hinton from their defense with pick number 7 in the 4th round. And then the Mr. Irrelevant, if you will, pick 32 for Chaos, Kevin Lindley from Loyola. So we get 2 Loyola guys go off the board later on in this draft. I think my favorite picks from this round, based off of just seeing everything that I know of these guys, I love Owen McElroy going to Chrome. I think that's a huge win for them to pair up with Scanoni. Mitch Bartolo is just big body bruising, joining the Redwoods midfield. I really like the John Robbins pick for Archers a lot. And then Colin Hinton joining that Whipsnakes defense. What better defense to learn from than, the most consistent and intact defensive core we've seen in PLL history than that Whipsnakes defense that's won 2 championships.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. Colin Hinton's going to get some PT this year. He's going to be one of those guys that I think in the 4th round ends up making an impact just because they don't have a lot of depth at LSM. They got the guy, Colin Squires, but I think they more want to play him down low. So I think picking Colin Hinton up allows them to do that and to use Colin Squires down low in certain scenarios. So I'm interested to see what he does behind arguably one of the best LSMs to ever play as well. Ryan Oghaven and John Robbins, Archers, did well with their back-to-back picks in this round, helping out on that D down there. That was good this year, but had some questionable times. So John Robbins could definitely help in. Being a guy from Bellarmine, lower D1, he kind of has a little bit of that chip on his shoulder. So excited to see what he's going to do. And then Oghaven getting into that offense provides another speed element and could get in with what's his face?
Ryan Ambler.
Yes, Ryan Ambler. I'm glad you knew exactly who I was thinking of.
That's how our brains work, baby.
And then, of course, McElroy and Bartolo are probably the best 2 picks of the round. Interested to see what Bartolo does and if they ever decide to go with the behemoth.
Please give us the Monstars midfield.
Please.
That's what I'm dubbing that line. If that line, that's the Monstars midfield. Miles Jones, Perk, and Mitch Bartolo.
Shout out to boy Brian Knows Lax. He
yes.
Definitely dropped that on Twitter. Definitely.
I totally forgot who dropped it, but yes. Yeah, Brian,
it's my boy Brian Knows Lax. Definitely.
That is the Monstars midfield.
Yeah, and then the Whipsnakes, I was very surprised to see them go so offensive heavy this round or this draft. And also, but to pick 2 attackmen in that was weird because they have such a locked in attack lineup. But maybe they're just planning to convert someone to midfield. I would lose it if it was Zed. Because Zeddy ball game running from up top.
Or one of these 2 guys that they drafted are going to end up being middies. Because not that he's old, but Channy's in his 30s now.
Yeah. That's
so
what I was thinking.
Could be a possibility.
That's what I was thinking. But, to just ruin every defense's chances of ever playing well.
And to be fair, Channy was in trade rumors this offseason. Hypothetical trade rumors, I should say. So, who knows? We still got time before training camp.
I just couldn't imagine, throwing out Justin Gutterding and Wheaton Jacoboyce. And
totally forgot about Gutty.
And then, you got Zeddy ballgame as well in the midfield. Who do you pull? None of them.
Stupid.
None of them, because the other 2 are just going to score. That's just not fair. So I'm interested to see who they decide to go with mid there, and I really hope it's not Zeddy ballgame. And if you're listening, Stags,
which I know he has,
you didn't hear anything I just said.
You didn't hear anything. Shout out to the Penguins of Madagascar.
That's how magic works. And voila.
Smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave. Overall, if you had to pick, let's say top 3 winners from this year's draft, who would you say are the big time winners from the 2022 PLL draft?
It started off very strong for the Whipsnakes, and then once they went kind of offensive heavy, I really lost it for them. Obviously, Woods are in the top 3 for me. I think they addressed everything they needed. A lot of people thought they should have gone offensive heavy right away, but I was because everybody thought Landis was just a for sure lock, and I'm I know I said it. I'd be having some inside information, but I ain't got it all, y'all.
Right.
So I love the Arden pick, and then to still be able to go get Nakai and Bartolo, I thought they did an awesome job this draft. And then my other 2, surprisingly, from I think I don't know how a lot of other people feel about this, but I got Chrome and Cannons. I think to have the picks that they had, Cannons making trades for one to be the only team to make a trade in this draft, that was power move. And I think they did a phenomenal job with the picks they had and addressing the problems they had both defensively and offensively. Um, and then Chrome, obviously, picking up a goalie and then picking up all the offensive pieces they did, along with the D piece as well. They did what I thought was a team that needed to almost restart, basically, from what they played last year. They did a phenomenal job. Like, I think I mentioned to you on the draft live that is this Atlas 2.0. Like, it seemed like they completely restocked and set up with everything they needed to be completely successful this year. It's just a matter of jumbling the pieces and putting them in the right. Like, you got all the puzzle pieces. You've dumped the box out. You've counted them out. You got all 100 of your pieces because you got to do that. You might lose one or two. They got all 100 of their pieces.
And they lost about 10 or 12.
Yeah. Yeah. But somehow they got them all back. They have all their pieces, and now it's just a matter of putting the puzzle together so that it shows the perfect picture.
Yeah, I think my winners, in no particular order, Redwoods, hands down, getting the guy who it was stone cold lock. Arden Cohen was going to be a part of this Redwoods team. And then to go get big body Mitch Bartolo. And, of course, getting the boy, Nakai Montgomery, on this team. I think my reaction to Nakai getting drafted by Redwoods was the equivalent of when we were able to get Isaiah Davis-Allen in the expansion draft. Like, one of those things where, like, it just didn't seem likely. And then when it happened, I lost my mind. It was a very similar reaction. So I think Redwoods, big-time winners in this draft with the 3 picks that they had. Like you said, they addressed the spots that we think they needed to address. And they got 3 insanely talented players to add to an insanely talented roster and potentially get Matt Landis coming back.
Yeah, I didn't tell you, but during the draft or during the live, I dropped in the PLL Discord that the Woods were going to take Knack at some point. I was like, yeah. I was like, so people were like, oh, why hasn't Nakai Montgomery gone yet? I was like, because he's definitely going to go to the Woods soon. They're like, no, he's going to the NFL. I was like, you guys are crazy. Nat is definitely drafting that man. And then literally like 10 minutes later, he drafted him. I was like, wow, I am so smart.
You're a prophet.
It's like it's like,
it's like you be knowing something.
It's like the PLL tells me stuff or something. I don't know.
My other winners, I got to go Chrome. I think they, from taking Logan number 1 and then going and getting Brendan Nickturn, going and getting Owen McElroy, and getting Ryan McNulty to add to this defense, too, which is almost not in terms of, talent and pedigree, but it is, filling the hole left behind by Joel White. I think they had a phenomenal draft, and I think this is a big step forward for them, getting to where they want to be and really finding that identity. These 4 guys, I think, are going to make an immediate impact. And we also forget that essentially they had 5 picks in this draft because JT Giles Harris is coming back from injury this year, didn't play at all last year. So think of it that way. If you're a Chrome fan, you essentially had 5 picks and you're getting one of the best college defensemen, to come in to play on a defense that we anticipate to be very, very good and being a core for a very long time.
I have a question. Are awards like the NBA? Is he still a rookie since he never played?
I want to say yes. I'm not 100%. I will find that out. I forget.
That's interesting. That's something
I want to say yes, but I'm trying to remember if there was anybody that is in that same boat. I was about to say Jeff Teat, but obviously he didn't play in 2020 at all. He went back to college.
To school, yeah.
I don't know. I will find that out and let the people know for sure. That's a good question.
And I definitely think Archers are honorable mention. I think they really went heavy offensively, but they didn't really need to address much on the defense. And they picked it up late defensively in the later end of the draft. But I think going offensive heavy was exactly what they needed.
And they addressed their biggest holes of their backup goalie,
Yep.
and the needed face-off guy.
Yep. Which, we knew that was going to be – those were 2 check marks they were going to make in this draft because they had no reason not to. They had plenty of picks to go and do it. They could wait on it because no one else was going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But the offensive guys just to fill in on that midfield and give them more options up top, I thought was beautiful, even though they're already stacked up there with, Jeff Traynor, Ryan McNamara, Connor Fields, Trey LeClaire,
Ambler.
Tom Schreiber, Ryan Ambler, and then you add the guys they drafted this year. They're definitely in a nice spot to continue going forward.
They're definitely my honorable mention. You had Cannons as a winner. I have the team that they made the trade with as a winner. I think Atlas, once again, they continue to dominate drafts under Ben Rubior to get Chris Gray. Say what you want about North Carolina. Chris Gray is a fucking talented weapon to add to that Atlas squad who just accumulates talent like they're Thanos with the Infinity Stones. Kobe Smith going there addressed an immediate need, I think, in my opinion, for that squad. Not that there's anything wrong with Craig Chick, but I think Kobe Smith has so much versatility to his game and so much of unseen talent at the LSM position to add to that Atlas squad is absurd. Then they go get Brendan Curry. They keep that number 13 pick in the trade with Cannons. They get 2023 Cannons first-round pick in this draft. I think that's a huge dub for them. They get Max Wayne, who is familiar with Ben Rubior, so I think that's a win for them defensively. And then in round 4, they didn't have a pick, but like I said, to get Cannon's first-round pick in back-to-back years, that's insane. That's, all-time fleecing to go into multiple drafts now with multiple first-round picks is just stupid. And the way Atlas addresses the draft and values the draft, I think, is very important for their success. And it will just continue to show you that 2021 was not a fluke year for them. I think it will continue to just build upon the talent that they have, and that's the game they're in. They're just looking to accumulate as much blue-chip talent as possible, and trying to win with that blue-chip talent and making this Ben Rubior's team with his fingerprints all over it. So I think a big win for Atlas in this draft as well. We did have one bit of college news that I saw. I gotta find this here.
Also really like Chaos. I didn't say much about them, but going and getting 2 D guys and then following that up with Donville. Hello. I'm just wondering, obviously, Donville's not gonna be in until, well, he could potentially be in right away. Yeah. It depends on if they decide, if they want to put him on the roster, which they might have to with what's going on in the NLL. He might be fresh off of NCAA championship throwing on a Chaos jersey because there's no way Maryland doesn't win the NCAA championship.
Yes.
And then, they picked up those D guys. So just really interested to see if Donville decides to go play Senior A or Man Cup, Minto Cup, any of that stuff, because it's one or the other. The PLL already said that. So that's going to be something to watch, not only with Donville, but just across the league, because the Man Cup and the Minto Cup are huge in Canada. Those guys absolutely, they take pride in playing in that and trying to win that. So wouldn't be surprised to see a couple guys not playing the PLL because they're going to play in the Minto or the Man.
We did have news today, too, regarding a guy that we talked about as a potential guy who was going to get drafted in this draft. I don't know if you saw this. Ty Zanders tweeted this out from Inside Lacrosse. And I think this is very rare in any sport that you see this. I can't remember the last time. Army defenseman Marcus Hudgens has entered the transfer portal with 2 years of eligibility left, according to multiple sources to Ty Zanders. He was tabbed a preseason first-team All-American by Inside Lacrosse. He sat out all of 2022. So Marcus Hudgens in the transfer portal. I feel like that's so rare that you see anybody from Army or any of the military academies enter the transfer portal for sports. But he did not suit up this spring due to personal reasons. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. He took, according to a source in the article here, he took his last final exam before entering the portal on Thursday and will be transferring as an undergrad, having majored in space science during his time at West Point. I mean, I think that's massive news in terms of just the college scheme of things and where he could end up. He's stupid talented, and, you know, he's got 2 years of eligibility left to really just bolster his stock. And I don't know how this all works. Might have to get the boy Eric Minio on to break this all down from the just military obligation standpoint. But now that he's transferring from West Point, I have to assume like he's leaving the military stuff behind. But I don't know exactly how that all works. But I mean, that's got to move him up draft boards for 2023 and 2024 with 2 years of eligibility left as an undergrad.
Oh yeah, there's no way, especially depending on where he goes. That could really change things up. I mean, Syracuse obviously has an opening. Notre Dame has an opening. Maryland has openings.
Duke.
Georgetown has openings. Duke obviously could use some help. North Carolina could use some help on D. I mean, the list literally goes on and on of teams who have openings. Yeah, I was just going to mention them. Denver could use some help on D. So it's
Rutgers.
Like, I mean, hey, those boys that rock the winged helmet that wear maize and blue could use some help on D as well. I mean, like there's plenty of places for you to go.
As weird as this sounds, too, like if you're a defenseman, you're going to tell me you aren't going to at least consider going and playing for John Galloway?
Yeah, I mean Jacksonville's a good option. Penn State isn't a terrible option. Loyola, Johns Hopkins. I mean, literally, you could just about with as good as he was at the place he was playing, you could pick just about any school in the country and say, "Hey, I want to come play," and they're probably like, "All right,
cool, bet."
So like,
let's get you some NIL now that you're out of the military, because that was the thing too. I don't know if you knew this. I just found this out recently. There's different rules for NIL at the military academies than there is at the other just D1 colleges because it's military.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it doesn't really surprise me, but okay.
But I found that fascinating to see somebody transferring from a military academy, and he's one of the best defensemen in the college game. And he's got 2 years of eligibility. Every D1 college has to be drooling at the potential of being able to recruit him.
I'm sure they talked to him already. I'm sure.
So we'll keep our eyes on that. And if Marcus wants to come announce his decision on the pod, we're open. We're available.
Absolutely.
We're getting a PLL documentary. Did not see this coming. You texted me about this, and I said, huh? And I go and look. LeBron James, Maverick Carter, The Uninterrupted. And I believe it's Tribeca Film Festival debuting the PLL documentary, which we'll be talking about on this show. I'm sure we'll be talking about it on Streamer Season as well, which we'll have to have Deej on for that episode. Might just be a crossover collab epi.
We might have to just do a whole banger for that epi and hit the Stranger Things opening.
Whew.
And I still gotta watch that Harry Potter thing, but might as well hit that too while I'm on. Like, just hit everything I'm supposed to.
Yep, bang, bang, bang.
I was supposed to have been on that thing a long time ago.
PLL documentary, though, I didn't see it happening this quickly. You know, we're 4 years into the PLL. I know the story is there and, like, you know, the build up to where we are. I just didn't think it would come 4 years in. I'm excited, though. You know, with Maverick Carter, LeBron, seeing, you know, just from a LeBron standpoint, seeing just the production that goes into the shop, his TV show that he has. I can only imagine, you know, along with the PLL hive mind of content that's going to go into this documentary. I am super excited to see how this just kind of, you know, is portrayed, and I know it's going to be fantastic. I'm just like, I've thought about different things that they're going to talk about and wondering how deep into the MLL side of things they're going to get, who they're going to talk to, because I love a good documentary. Don't get that twisted. But I'm super excited about this.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Like, there's so much that can be said about what they've done in just 4 years as a league and what they've done for the sport in so many different ways. Interested to see how far they go back with Mike and Paul. Like, do they start that far talking about, them getting into lacrosse as a family and, him playing high school, getting to John Hopkins and all of that good stuff? Or do they just pick it up right where they decide to start talking about the PLL? And also, my first instant, like when you started talking about, it being so early for a doc, I just wonder if this is part of a project where it's going to be almost a series of full documentaries. Like, oh, this is one section of putting together the PLL. And then, here goes another like 6 years or so, and they drop another documentary about that section of the PLL. And it kind of just is this documentary series about putting together a league in different time periods. So it's not, because they could wait and they could do it in like 30 years and just put out like, a 4-part docu-series that takes forever to watch. Or they can, put out these small documentaries that are like an hour and a half long that come out every, 5-6 years that more people are probably going to watch.
And I just think back to this past summer when we had now friend of the program, Mike Rabel, on the show. And, I got a chance to talk to him, and he just told me, like, they would be sitting in their living room, he and Paul, papers everywhere, trying to plan out things. Like, I wonder how deep into that we're going to go, and how deep into just, like, the planning and the execution of different things from the early stages of, this is how we're going to operate the league. This is who we need to go to approach as investor. Like, I'm so intrigued to just see the behind-the-scenes stuff and what they discuss, and how it's portrayed. And I'm just very excited. Like, I saw that and I said, all right, let's go. We got even more content to discuss from a different angle of the sport, and I think it's only going to continue to get more and more eyes on the PLL, on lacrosse, and that's just an absolute dub for what we do, what the players, are doing on the field, and, just to bring more and more eyeballs to the sport of lacrosse.
Did you see the post on who else is going to be in it? Who's featured?
I glanced at it.
So Jeffrey Wright is getting a feature.
Hello?
The boy Bill Belichick.
I figured that would happen.
Adam Silver.
Interesting.
Tom Rothman. Joe Tsai. And then Paul Carcaterra are all getting features. And I'm sure there'll be others, but those are like their notable ones.
Can I just give you the notable one that I'm seeing here on the poster? Yeah. Cinematography by Brett Roberts. Shout out B-Rob. He deserves this. Shout out to B-Rob. Jeffrey Wright, that's great. For the people at home, you hear the name Jeffrey Wright, probably sounds familiar. If you saw the new Batman movie, he's Commissioner Gordon. If you watched What If on Disney Plus for Marvel, he's Uatu the Watcher. Like, big time. That blows my mind. Wow, I just got like chills thinking about that. I hope he's the narrator. He's got to be. He's got to be the one narrating stuff.
I just love that LeBron and Mav Carter are at the helm of this whole thing.
That's awesome.
It's going to
awesome.
Be fantastic.
It's
literally going to be fantastic.
I'm so pumped. Wow.
Like, I just didn't know Paul and LeBron was locked in like that for Paul to be hitting.
I had a feeling just because the uninterrupted, because I think, isn't that where Paul put out his retirement letter, or was that the Players Tribune?
I think it was Players Tribune, but it might have been uninterrupted.
I remember somebody from the PLL putting something on the internet. Maybe it was Kyle Harrison.
Ooh.
Maybe. Somebody put a retirement letter, but whole thing out on the it's Kyle Harrison, because Kyle Harrison has the uninterrupted in his Twitter bio. That's where that comes from. That's the connection.
Yep. Now that makes a lot of sense.
That's the connection. We're gonna have some fun to end this episode. It's Christian Del Bianco, Reddit lacrosse topic of the week, the Lacrosse subreddit. I have not given DJ the inside scoop on what this topic is because I wanted his genuine reaction. He's going to probably piss his pants because I damn near choked when I read this. DJ, the subject line, this week's Reddit topic from the Lacrosse subreddit. This is from Reddit user Bluefire80678, posted last week. Is there any rules against filling my deep hole with live yellow jackets?
Bro does not need any type of pole in his hands. They need to put him in a padded room with a straight jacket.
The top comment. Not specifically, though Rule 1-8 does state that, quote, handles that have been altered in any fashion other than taping or adding another covering design to improve the grip are illegal, could be interpreted to prevent you from doing this. Seems like it would be kind of pointless unless you're some sort of master insect trainer and could get them to harass specific targets on command. Would suck to get stung by your own bugs.
My thing is, why would he want to get that close to Yellow Jackets anyway? Bro is a real maniac.
Would bending the pole like a katana break that rule? I know a guy that used the short stick that was bent his entire career.
I mean, don't fix what ain't broke. What they be saying? I might bend, but I won't break.
Someone said, if I was the ref, I'd allow it. It's not actually altering the handle, just the air inside of the hollow center, I'd say. As far as commanding the bees goes, I'd rub some pheromones on the head that would create an attack response from my hive and rub it on opposing players until the time of release. I think it would be kind of hard to play in full Beekeeper getup, but not impossible. So I'd wear that for protection too.
Not the Beekeeper suit.
Follow-up question. Are you allowed to wear a Beekeeper suit? Someone said, as long as it meets the NOC SAE safety standards, I don't see why not.
Listen, as a coach, there's one question every ref asks me before a game. Are all of your players legally equipped? And if I had a kid in a Beekeeper suit, I promise you I would turn around and look at him and go, sir, I'm not really sure. Is that okay?
And after the safety standards comment, I swear what you're describing was once a Metal Gear Solid character.
Oh my god. That's funny though, because that's literally like my answer to anything. Like when kids ask me stuff like, oh, can I wear this? Is it NOCSAE certified? Yeah. All right then.
This is the funniest comment.
Like my kids today go, hey coach, do I have to wear elbow pads? I was like, if you don't want an elbow, I guess not. Like what is wrong with you?
Someone said, constantly paranoid attackmen because they hear live hornets they can't see. Seems worth it.
They hear hornets so they can't see.
This is the greatest thing I've ever read in my life.
Now that I'm thinking about it, one of my kids broke 2 sticks in our game on Monday.
Imagine if somebody broke the stick.
That's what I'm
with
saying.
The live hornet, and they just go swarming. It's like Animal Crossing when you shake the tree and the bees come flying after you.
Not Animal Crossing. But yeah, nah, for real. That would be wild.
This is the funniest topic I've ever heard in my life. Is there any rules against filling your ID poll with live Yellow Jackets?
I thought it was gonna be like cement or something.
And then bending your stick like a katana. What is this, Mortal Kombat?
Hey, do you think that would just break someone's arm like right away? You check them with like a cement field pole.
Probably.
I'm gonna try that out. How much you think I gotta pay somebody to do that? I'm gonna put that on Lacrosse Reddit.
Call up the Jackass crew. Sure, Danger Aaron would do it.
Hey, bro, let me break your arm with this cement pole. All right.
Dude,
OTB would spike if I was on Jackass.
I'm DJ Hughes, and this is Cement Stick.
But before I go on, follow me on the socials. Tune into the podcast.
No, it would be this. This would be the stunt. I'm DJ Hughes, and this is Outside the Box.
Shout out to my mama. POP. Hold it down.
Shook 'em. So this is what the people need to do. You need to comment on YouTube. Would you fill your deep hole with live wasps? With live Yellow Jackets, sorry. And if you're an attackman, would you be paranoid if you heard live Yellow Jackets buzzing but couldn't see them?
And FYI, right now, if any of my boys show up with anything inside of their poles tomorrow, you're running for the entire practice. Don't even try me.
Imagine getting yard sailed by a deep, like a D-stick with live Yellow Jackets in it.
Or imagine just like being an attackman, getting a really solid ride or getting a very nice wrap check, and you just slice his pole in half, and then you get stung by 1,000 Yellow Jackets. That would literally be awful.
This is insane. Like, this is one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. Shout out to Blue Fire 80678 because this is all-time topic.
Would they die in the winter?
Ooh.
Because, like, I broke a pole in the winter, and I just would wonder, like, how bad it would hurt to get stung by a Yellow Jacket in the winter.
Or if you just, like, break that stick, and it's just dead Yellow Jacket carcasses.
Just all over the field. Hey, yeah, watch out for that little spot over there. It's
going to be crunchy.
Oh, not crunchy. That is hilarious.
So, yeah, YouTube comment section, Apple Podcast reviews. Let us know, 1, would you fill your deep hole with live Yellow Jackets? 2, if you're an attackman, would you be paranoid hearing live Yellow Jackets buzzing around you, but you couldn't see them? Need answers. We will read the responses on the podcast, so leave them in the YouTube comment section. Leave them in the Apple Podcast reviews. We want as many as possible. That's all we got for you guys this week, though. Be sure to follow us at OTBLaxPod, Twitter and Instagram. Join our Twitter communities tab because we're going to drop this question in there big time. Follow DJ on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Follow the network at Underground PHI. And follow a new side project that just joined the Twitter machine tonight as we record this at USP Cheesesteaks. I'm going to leave it at that. Just go follow that. You won't be disappointed. Check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com, for all of our written content. Subscribe to the podcast feeds, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Leave the 5-star ratings and reviews. 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts from now until the end of time. Is that topic. Would you fill your deep hole with live Yellow Jackets? And of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the like button. Click the bell icon. And comment down below, would you fill your deep hole with live Yellow Jackets? And if you're an attackman, would you be paranoid if you heard those Yellow Jackets but couldn't see them? Big thank you to our sponsors who make this show happen. Tomahawk Shades, best small batch eyewear in the game. Go to tomahawkshades.com. Use promo code USP for 25% off your entire order from the homies over at Tomahawk Shades. Kenwood Beer. Go to kenwoodbeer.com and use the Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. Brand new cans, ready to rock and roll for the summer. You got to be 21 or older to do so. And, of course, please drink responsibly. And Beano Board. Go to beanoboard.com. That's BINHOBOARD.com. It's paper football meets foosball, and it's coming to a PLL tailgate near you this summer. Use code BINHOUSP, BINHOUSP, for 10% off your order from the homies over at Beano. This has been episode number 221 of the allegedly award-nominated, honorably mentioned, and of course viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast. For DJ, I'm KB. Till next week, we're getting the hell out of here. Peace.
Peace.